Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning with Jelly. So, today we're on Lesson 4, Module 3, and this is going to be our introduction to lists. Now, for the rest of this module, we're going to take a deep dive into lists. Why? Because list is one of the most easier understood collections versus dictionary. So, it's good to get your feet wet with an easy collection. And outside of that, some of your data may be stored as lists. So we're going to learn how to handle lists. And then it's going to be important in future modules to know the difference between lists and something that we call arrays when we're utilizing the NumPy package. So this is going to be an introduction. So as you can see on the image in front of me, I have a list. I know that it's a list because it's surrounded by square brackets. Some of the properties of lists is that lists can be indexed. And in module 2, we talked about indexing a string where the first element of a list is the 0th index. So indexing starts at 0 in Python. And they can be heterogeneous, meaning that they can contain different data types. So in this case, I have an integer, and then I have a string, and then I have a float, and I even have another list. You can have duplicates in lists, and you also can modify lists. So they're considered mutable. But we're going to talk about that later on in this presentation. Let's look at our agenda for today. We want to revisit what a collection is in Python. You want to know the syntax for a list, and you want to be able to create a list. So collections, they're a group of items stored in a container, quote unquote, and they're iterable. That means you can go through a collection and do certain things to every item in that collection, as we saw with for loops in lesson 1 and lesson 2 of module 3. So things such as strings, lists, dictionary sets, tuples, all of those are considered collections. So, what about lists? So, as I mentioned, lists are surrounded by those square brackets. They can be changed, they can have different data types, they can be indexed, which means that you can call on specific items of a list. You can even have lists of lists. However, they are difficult when performing mathematical operations. And you'll see what I mean in a future module when we talk about a very important package for data analytics, which is NumPy. It stands for Numeric Python. Okay, so let's create a list. So in this case, I have square brackets, so I know it's a list. I have 268, and I'm setting that equal to the object list 1. And I can use that built-in function that we just talked about, built-in functions, to check the type. And when I do, I see that the type of list 1 is indeed a list. I can have lists with different data types. So I have a string here. I have department, and maybe this is the department ID that's following it. I also have a name of another department as well as that ID. And I can use the built-in function, and I see that that's also a list. And I also have, going too fast, nested lists, where in this case, I have finance, and probably this number is the number of employees in finance. I have a list that has HR and a list that has operations. And all of that is enclosed in a list itself. So you can have list of list. And I also see within the built-in function that that is a list. So you want to try to create this list. So create variables in a Jupyter notebook, create strings, integers, floats, lists, so that you can gain that muscle memory of what different data types are. So in summary, lists are collections and iterables. They can contain multiple different data types in a single list, and they also can be nested. So you can have list of list. So that is the brief introduction to lists. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to dive further into lists in the next lesson. Thank you so much for tuning in for Learning with Jelly. Bye-bye.